My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 31 years old, and a month ago, I was supposed to be getting married. Instead, I was sitting on my living room couch with a glass of red wine, watching the man I thought I'd spend my life with ask for permission to sleep with another woman. It started like any other Friday night. Ethan, my 29-year-old fiancé, my boyfriend before that for 4 years, was across from me at our small dining table, pasta on our plates, candles burning, a Spotify playlist humming in the background. We'd been living together for 2 years in my apartment. I'd bought this place 3 years before I even met him. It had become our home, in the way toothbrushes and shoes by the door slowly blend two lives together. The wedding was in 4 weeks. Venue booked, invitations sent, deposits paid. My Pinterest boards had mood boards. My mom was sending me daily texts with centerpiece ideas. So when Ethan put his fork down and said, "I need to talk to you about something," my stomach dropped. That tone is never good, not after you've picked linens. "Okay," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "What's up?" He looked at his plate, then at me. His knee bounced under the table. "I've been thinking about the wedding," he said. "About marriage. About forever." My grip tightened around the stem of my wine glass. Forever. The word that's supposed to sound romantic, suddenly sounding like a diagnosis. "Are you having second thoughts?" I asked. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. He shook his head quickly. No. I want to marry you. I love you. I'm not backing out." "Then what is it?" He exhaled, long and shaky. "It's just, look, I've only been with 3 people, including you." I blinked. "Okay." "You've been with what? 8? 9? He waved his hand. "I don't even know the exact number. 7? Whatever. More than me." I stared at him. "And I don't see what that has to do with anything." He swallowed, eyes darting everywhere but my face. "I think I need a hall pass before the wedding, to get it out of my system." For a second, I genuinely thought I'd misheard him. "A what?" My voice came out flat. "A hall pass," he repeated, like we were discussing borrowing a jacket. "Just one night, one person. Then I'll never wonder what I'm missing. I can fully commit to you. No what-ifs, no regrets." Silence expanded between us like a third person at the table. "You want," I said slowly, "to sleep with someone else a month before our wedding." "Not want." He leaned forward, desperate. "Need. For us. For our marriage. So I don't walk into it feeling like I never got to, live." His logic flipped and twisted in the air like Olympic-level mental gymnastics. For us. For our marriage. Like cheating with permission was some kind of premarital vitamin. A cold clarity slid over my brain. "Who is she?" I asked. He flinched. "What?" "You don't ask for a hall pass without someone in mind, Ethan. Who is it?" He hesitated, chewed his lip. "There's this girl at my gym," he said finally. "Vanessa." "Vanessa," I repeated. The name tasted metallic. "We used to date, like, years ago," he rushed on. "We stayed friendly. We talk sometimes. She's interested, but I've never done anything while I've been with you. I would never cheat on you, Lauren. You know that." I let out a short, humorless laugh. "You just want to sleep with your ex-girlfriend, with permission. Totally different." "It is different," he insisted. "It's honest. I'm being transparent with you. That's got to count for something, right?" I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I'd picked color palettes with. The man whose last name I was supposed to take. The man who apparently needed to sleep with Vanessa from the gym to feel ready to commit to me. In my chest, something cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a hairline fracture that I knew would never quite heal the same. "Okay," I said. His brows furrowed. "Okay, what?" "You can have your hall pass." His whole face lit up. "Really? Oh my God, Lauren, thank you. You're so understanding. This is why I love you." That sentence hit me like a slap. This is why I love you, because I'm willing to step aside so you can sleep with someone else. My wine tasted sour now. "When were you thinking?" I asked, my voice calm, almost detached. "Tonight," he said immediately. "If that's okay. She's free tonight." "Of course she is." "Sure," I said. "Go ahead. Tonight." He actually squealed. I'd never seen a grown man squeal before. He practically vaulted out of his chair and disappeared into my bedroom. I sat there, listening to drawers open and close, hangers scrape along the closet rod. When he came back out, he was wearing a shirt I'd bought him for his birthday, dark jeans, the cologne I'd given him on our first anniversary. "I'll be back tomorrow morning," he said, like he was reminding me to thaw chicken for dinner. "We can talk then. Thank you so much for understanding." He leaned down, kissed me on the mouth, and left. The door clicked shut. The apartment was suddenly too quiet. I stared at the door for a good 10 minutes, brain blank, body humming with something I couldn't name yet. Not quite rage, not quite grief, just empty. Then I stood up. I washed my plate, his plate, put the leftovers in a container because muscle memory is a powerful thing. Then I dried my hands, walked to the kitchen counter, picked up my phone, and started making calls. First, the locksmith. "Hi," I said when the 24-hour service picked up. My voice sounded oddly steady. "I need my locks changed tonight, as soon as possible." Emergency service fee, $400. I gave them the address. The dispatcher said a technician would be here within the hour. "Perfect," I said. "Thank you." Next, I went to the bedroom and pulled out 2 suitcases and a couple of cardboard boxes from the closet. Not everything, just his essentials. Clothes, toiletries, his laptop, his chargers, important papers. The things he'd need to function in whatever new life he was choosing. I folded his shirts the way I'd always folded them. It felt surreal, packing up a life that technically hadn't ended yet, not out loud. On the dresser, his watch, the one I'd gotten engraved with our anniversary date, gleamed at me. I hesitated, then put it gently on top of his folded jeans. In the living room, our engagement photo stared back at me from the wall, me in a white dress, him in a blue button-down, both of us laughing at something off camera. I took it down, laid it face down on the coffee table. Then I opened my laptop. Email to the wedding venue. Subject line, urgent, wedding cancellation. I explained we needed to discuss canceling the event, apologize for the inconvenience, ask them to call me in the morning with the details and fees. Voicemail to the venue manager, just in case. "Hi, this is Lauren Hayes. Our wedding is scheduled for next month. I need to talk about cancellation options. Please call me back." Text to my best friend and maid of honor, Tessa. "The wedding is off. I'll explain later." Email to our wedding planner. "Hi, something's come up and I need to cancel the wedding. Please send me the final invoice including any cancellation fees. Thank you." My fingers moved almost independently of my brain. It felt like muscle memory from a life where I was competent and organized, just repurposed for demolition instead of creation. By the time I'd finished, there was a knock at the door. The locksmith arrived a little after midnight. A middle-aged guy in a company polo, toolbox in hand. "Evening," he said, glancing at the piles of boxes by the door, but not asking questions. "You the one who called about an emergency rekey?" "That's me," I said. "Lauren, locks on the front door and the balcony door, please." He nodded. "No problem. Shouldn't take too long." As he worked, metal scraping, tools clinking, the reality of what I was doing finally started to settle over me like a weighted blanket. This was it. I wasn't just being dramatic. I wasn't bluffing. By the time Ethan came back from his night with Vanessa, the key he'd been using for 2 years wouldn't fit anymore. The locksmith finished around 1 a.m. I paid, signed, thanked him. He left, and the apartment fell silent again. I stood in the hallway, staring at the new lock. "Out with the old," I murmured. Then I carried Ethan's boxes and suitcases to the front door and stacked them neatly beside it, ready to be picked up by their owner in a few hours. I made coffee at 8 a.m., sat on the couch, fully dressed, mug warming my hands. My heart was pounding, but my face felt strangely calm. At 8:47 a.m., I heard it, the sound of a key scraping against metal. Once, twice, harder, more frantic. Then the knocking started. "Lauren, babe," Ethan's voice, muffled through the door. "My key's not working. Can you open up?" I stood, walked slowly toward the door, and slid the chain into place before turning the handle. I opened it just enough to see him. Same clothes as last night, hair a mess, eyes rimmed red. He smelled like sweat, cheap perfume, and bad decisions. He gave me a tired grin. "Oh, good. You're awake. My key got weird. Can you let me in? I'm exhausted." I looked at him for a long moment. The man who'd traded our future for one night with his ex, standing outside our apartment like a stranger. "No," I said. "No," I said. The word felt small, but it hit like a door slamming. Ethan blinked. "What?" I said no, I repeated. "You're not coming in." He gave a shaky laugh. "Okay, haha. Seriously, Lauren, I'm exhausted. Let me shower and pass out and we'll talk later." "You're not coming in," I said. "You don't live here anymore." The smile dropped off his face. "Is this a joke?" he asked. "Because I'm not in the mood." "It's not a joke." He twisted the knob and bumped his shoulder into the door. The chain rattled. "Lauren, open the door," he snapped. "No." His eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Let me in. This is my home. It was our home, I said, but the lease is in my name. You moved in with me. Legally, it's my apartment. He stared. You're serious. I am. Because I went out one night, he said. The night you said was okay? I looked at the faint lipstick on his collar, then back at him. You didn't go out, I said. You slept with your ex-girlfriend a month before our wedding. That wasn't okay. That was me facilitating your exit. He went still. What? You wanted a hall pass, I said. You got one. One-way ticket out of this relationship. You used it. Panic crawled over his face. Lauren, no, we talked about this. You said okay. You said you understood. I said you could have your hall pass, I replied. I never said I'd still be here when you got back. He shook his head. I thought we were on the same page. You told me you wanted honesty. And you were honest, I said. You told me sleeping with Vanessa mattered more than walking into our marriage without that what if. I listened. I believed you. I just made my own choice based on that. He shoved the door. The chain strained. Open the door, he snapped, or I'm calling the cops. You can't lock me out of my own home. Call them, I said. He faltered. What? Call them, I repeated. They can explain the lease, and utilities are in my name, and you're a guest I don't want here. Then they can watch you carry your boxes out. His eyes dropped, finally seeing the suitcases and cardboard boxes next to the threshold. What is that? He whispered. Your stuff. You're insane, he said. This is insane. You're ending our engagement over one night? One deliberate choice, I said. Yes. It didn't mean anything, he rushed. It was just physical. I was thinking about you the whole time. I almost laughed. That makes it worse, Ethan. It was supposed to help us, he insisted. I didn't want to go into marriage resenting you, wondering what I missed. You being with someone who isn't me is a deal breaker, I said. You don't get to dress it up as an act of love. People get cold feet, he said. It's normal. Cold feet don't usually lead to warm beds with other people, I said. His jaw clenched. You're throwing everything away, he said. The venue, the deposits, our families, 4 years together, all over one mistake. You didn't trip and fall into your ex, I said quietly. You talked to her. You lined it up. You got dressed in our bedroom and kissed me goodbye before you went over there. That's not a mistake. That's a plan. The elevator dinged down the hall. We both turned. The doors opened and a woman stepped out. Dark hair, messenger bag, keys in hand. Mia, his friend from work. Her eyes widened when she saw the boxes. What's going on? She asked. She's kicking me out, Ethan said immediately. She changed the locks while I was gone. Mia looked at me. Seriously? He asked for permission to sleep with his ex a month before our wedding, I said. He did. I decided I'm not marrying him. That's the story. Mia turned back to him. Is that true? It's complicated, he muttered. It's simple, I said. Mia sighed. Lauren, come on. You're really blowing everything up because he was honest? Most guys would just cheat. That's not the defense you think it is, I said. I'm not punishing him for telling the truth. I'm just not going to marry someone who thinks getting it out of his system with his ex is normal. You're being rigid, she said. I'm being someone with boundaries, I replied. He made his choice. I'm making mine. She looked at Ethan again. Where are you going to stay? I don't know, he said. I thought I lived here. You did, I said, past tense. I slid the chain off and opened the door fully. You can take your things now, I said. I have calls to make. For a second, he just stood there, eyes shiny. Please don't do this, he whispered. I love you. I want to marry you. Last night was a mistake. Last night was a choice, I said. You chose her over me, over us, over our wedding. I choose you, he insisted, grabbing a box. Look, I'm here. I came back. After sleeping with your ex, I said. Forgive me if I'm not impressed. Mia picked up a suitcase. Come on, she told him. You can crash at my place for a bit. He hesitated on the threshold. What about the wedding? He asked. The deposits, our families. You're really canceling everything? I already started the cancellation, I said. I'll pay my half of the fees. You can pay yours. You can't just decide that, he said. You already did, I answered. I'm just handling the paperwork. His shoulders sagged. You're going to regret this, he muttered. Maybe, I said, but I'd regret marrying you more. He turned away, suitcase rolling, box under his arm. Mia followed. The elevator doors closed behind them. I shut the door. The new lock clicked, firm and final. I stood there with my palm against the wood, listening to the quiet. This apartment was mine before him. It was mine again. I picked my phone up from the coffee table and scrolled to the one contact I needed. When she answered on the second ring, hearing her voice almost undid me. Hey, Mom, I said, my throat tight. Lauren, honey, what's wrong? I sank onto the couch, staring at the empty chair across from me, where he'd sat last night, asking for permission to sleep with someone else. There's not going to be a wedding, I said. And for the first time since he'd said the words hall pass, I let myself break. Stop. My mom went quiet on the other end of the line. Too quiet. And then, softly but sharply, what did he do? It was the tone she saved for emergencies, car accidents, unexpected hospital calls, the kind of tone meant for the worst news of someone's life. I swallowed. He asked for a hall pass. A what? To sleep with someone else before the wedding, I whispered, to get it out of his system. Silence stretched again, tense as piano wire. And what? She said slowly, each word carved with disbelief. Did you say? I said okay, I whispered. Then he left, and I changed the locks. Mom exhaled so loudly I could picture her putting a hand over her chest. You did the right thing. But my throat was tight, eyes burning. I don't feel like I did anything right. I feel numb. That is your body protecting you, she said. But sweetheart, this boy showed you exactly who he is. Better now than after vows and joint taxes and children. I let out a shaky breath. There's a lot of money lost. Money can be re-earned, she said. Your peace cannot. If she'd been in the room, she would have held me until the shaking stopped. But she wasn't, so I held myself. I'll call you later, I said. I need to deal with everything. Call me anytime. I mean it. I love you. I love you too. When I hung up, the apartment was so quiet I could hear my heartbeat. The first call. His mother called at 11:17 a.m. Not a text, not a voicemail, a call. The moment her name lit up on my screen, my stomach twisted. Ethan's mother, Diane, was the type of woman who turned every family holiday into a battlefield over who brought the wrong pie. I hesitated, then answered. Lauren, she snapped. No greeting, no breath. What on earth is this about throwing Ethan out of the apartment? Straight for the jugular. Typical. I closed my eyes. He told you already? He said you changed the locks in the middle of the night. Are you out of your mind? He asked for permission to sleep with his ex-girlfriend, I said calmly, a month before our wedding. Silence. A real silence, not shock, calculation. Then, he was scared, she said, somehow managing to sound both judgmental and pitying at the same time. Cold feet happen. You should have been more understanding. I was understanding, I said. I understood he wanted someone else more than he wanted me, so I let him have her. You're being melodramatic, Diane snapped. You didn't need to humiliate him. I didn't humiliate him. He did that on his own. He's devastated, she went on, as if I hadn't spoken. He has nowhere to go. He's staying with a friend, I said. He's fine. He belongs with you. No, I said, voice firm. He doesn't. You're throwing away 4 years because he made one small mistake? I laughed under my breath. Cheating isn't small. It wasn't cheating if you gave permission. It's also not a relationship if he sleeps with other people, I shot back. We can both be right. A beat of stunned silence, then she hung up. No goodbye. The second call. 20 minutes later, his dad called. Ray was different, more grounded. A man who spoke only when he meant to, which made every word heavier. Lauren, he said, steady but wary. I heard there was trouble. That's one word for it, he sighed. Look, I know he messed up. Truly. But ending everything this fast, don't you think it's a little extreme? I think it's efficient, I said. He let out a small huff of bitter amusement. I suppose that's one way to see it. No courtship, no yelling, no dragging this out, I continued. He wanted permission to sleep with someone else. I gave it. Then I ended the relationship that no longer existed. He loves you, he said gently. He loves the idea of me, I said, and the idea of freedom at the same time. Silence. You're a good woman, Ray said finally, and I'm sorry he didn't realize that before he made the stupidest mistake of his life. My throat tightened. Thank you, I said quietly. One more thing, he added. The wedding, the costs. How are you handling that? I've already contacted the venue and planner. I'll cover my half of the cancellation fees. That seems fair, he said. If you need help, let me know. I mean that. His voice cracked on mean and something warm loosened in my chest. Thank you, I repeated. We hung up. The group chat. Not 5 minutes passed before my phone lit up again. Group chat. Wedding crew. Ethan added him months ago. And now they were lighting it up like a wildfire. Amber. OMG, Lauren. You kicked Ethan out? Tyler. What the hell happened? Jenna, he was honest with you and you punished him? Travis. Most PPL would sneak around. He told you the truth. Amber. You just don't appreciate a good man. Jenna, seriously, girl, this is immature. I stared at the messages, one after another, all defending him, none acknowledging what he actually did. I left the group, blocked almost everyone, except one. A number I didn't recognize messaged me privately. Unknown. Hey, it's Becca. We met at the engagement party. I hesitated, then opened it. Becca, I think you should know something. Becca, the hall pass thing? Becca, it wasn't spontaneous. My breath caught. Me. What do you mean? Becca, he's been talking about that girl from the gym for months. Becca, he thought you'd say no. Becca, he was planning to sneak around or claim you were controlling. Becca. Asking for the hall pass was kind of a test. My pulse thudded. Me. Did he say all this? Becca. Yeah. Becca. We all told him not to ask. Told him he was being insane. Becca. He didn't believe you'd say yes. Definitely didn't think you'd react by, well, doing what you did. Becca. He gambled. He lost. Becca. You deserve better. I stared at the screen, numb but vibrating with something sharp and bitter. He didn't just break my trust. He planned the whole collapse. Before I could reply, another email hit my inbox. Wedding venue. Final cancellation. Invoice. $4,200. Half the total. I paid my half immediately. Then I texted Becca one more time. Me. Can you give me Ethan's new address? I need to send him his portion of the invoice. Becca. He doesn't have that kind of money right now. Me. Neither do I, but I'm paying mine. Me. He can pay his. Hours later, a courier arrived at Ethan's temporary residence with a sealed envelope. 2 days after that, I got served back. Small claims court filing. Ethan Martin is suing for $4,200 plus $2,000 emotional distress. I laughed. Out loud, alone, in my living room. Then I called my lawyer friend. He read the claim. He laughed too. He's got no case, he said. But you absolutely need to show up. So I circled the court date on my calendar. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks to breathe. 2 weeks to figure out what the hell my life was turning into. And 2 weeks until I'd have to see Ethan again. In front of a judge. In front of the truth. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not physically. The thermostat was fine. Emotionally, psychologically, atmospherically. Cold in the way a room feels when everyone inside it is pretending they aren't here to witness the collapse of someone's dignity. I sat on the right side of the small claims courtroom, legs crossed, back straight, a folder of printed evidence on my lap. Screenshots of Ethan asking for the hall pass, the timeline of events, the cancellation receipts, the text from his friend admitting the truth. My lawyer friend had told me I didn't need him formally. Small claims doesn't allow legal representation anyway. But he had helped me prepare the order of facts like a script. I was ready, or at least as ready as a person can be, when about to publicly explain why her ex-fiancé begged to sleep with his ex a month before their wedding. He entered with his mother. Diane was dressed like she was attending a funeral, which, from her expression, she clearly believed she was. Ethan, on the other hand, looked smaller, eyes tired, shirt wrinkled, confidence fractured. I felt nothing. Just a clean, quiet emptiness where love used to sit. They took their seats on the opposite side. Diane glared at me like she was trying to set me on fire. Ethan didn't look at me at all. When the judge walked in, everyone stood. The session began. Case number 1478, the clerk announced. Martin versus Hayes. Ethan stood first. Your Honor, he said, voice intentionally shaky. My fiancé, well, ex-fiancé, ended our engagement without cause and left me responsible for wedding cancellation fees. I'm seeking reimbursement plus compensation for the emotional stress she caused. He sat. Diane squeezed his hand like she was rewarding a toddler for reciting the alphabet. The judge looked at me. Ms. Hayes? I stood. Your Honor, I said clearly. He requested permission to sleep with another woman a month before our wedding. I granted permission. Then I ended the engagement. The judge blinked. I'm sorry. He asked for what? A hall pass, I said. His words. He wanted one night with another woman, his ex-girlfriend. The judge turned to Ethan. Is this accurate? Ethan flushed. It's more complicated than... Yes or no? The judge interrupted. Did you ask her for a hall pass to sleep with someone else before your wedding? A long pause. Then, quietly, yes. Diane looked horrified. At me, not him. Her priorities were carved from stone and bad decisions. The judge exhaled, rubbing his temple. So, he said, turning to Ethan, you asked for permission to be intimate with another woman. Your fiancé agreed and then ended the engagement. She didn't give me a chance to explain, Ethan burst out. She changed the locks, packed my things, she kicked me out. The judge raised a hand. Sir, did you live in the apartment? It was our place, Ethan said defensively. We lived together. In whose name was the lease? Hers. Hers, the judge repeated, meaning legally it was her residence. Ethan clenched his jaw. The judge looked unimpressed. Mr. Martin, what exactly are you claiming emotional distress from? He asked. Your fiancé declining to marry you after you asked to sleep with someone else? When stated out loud, it sounded absurd, almost comically so. Ethan's mouth opened and closed. I was being honest, he tried. She told me she appreciated honesty. The judge nodded slowly. That may be, but being honest does not mean you're entitled to the outcome you want. Diane bristled. He wasn't cheating. She gave him permission. The judge leveled a stare at her. Ma'am, please do not interrupt proceedings. She sank back, arms crossed. Ms. Hayes, the judge said, turning back to me, do you have evidence supporting your version of events? I handed the clerk my folder. The judge flipped through it. Screenshots, dates, times, receipts. The text from Becca revealing Ethan's premeditation. The judge let out a low whistle. Well, he said, closing the folder, this seems straightforward. Ethan straightened, hopeful. The judge continued. Request for damages is denied. Each party is responsible for their half of the cancellation fees. Case dismissed. The gavel cracked. It was done. Ethan sat paralyzed. Diane looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. I gathered my things without looking at either of them. Outside the courthouse, I was halfway to the parking lot when I heard heels clacking. Fast. Lauren! I didn't turn. Lauren, stop. I turned. Diane hurried toward me, face flushed with fury. You ruined him, she spat. Do you understand that? He can't show his face anywhere. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows, I said calmly, because he told people. You humiliated him. No, I said. I protected myself. He's having to start over at 29, she screamed. Okay, I said. People start over at 50. He'll survive. He's never going to find someone else now, she said, shaking with anger. Do you know how hard dating is for men his age? I shrugged. Probably as hard as dating is for a 31-year-old woman who almost married someone who needed permission to sleep with his ex. Her face twisted. You're heartless. I'm healthy, I said. She opened her mouth again, but I was already walking away. I didn't look back. 2 months passed. Slow, quiet, healing in ways I didn't realize I needed. My apartment was mine again. Not ours. Mine. I redecorated, repainted, reclaimed everything. Work picked up. I poured myself into a project, got promoted, got a raise. My boss said I'd been showing leadership. I didn't tell him it was just something to focus on, so I didn't spiral. My friends showed up for me. My mom cooked too much food. My dad took me to a baseball game. My brother made me laugh until I forgot I ever cried over Ethan. Therapy helped the most. Not because I was broken, but because untangling 4 years of misplaced trust deserves a professional guide. One day my therapist asked, "Do you miss him?" I thought about it. I miss who I thought he was, I said. Not who he actually is. And that felt true. 2 weeks ago, Ethan texted from a new number. Ethan, I'm sorry, really sorry. I was scared of commitment and self-sabotaged. I'm in therapy now. I know I ruined everything. I understand why you did what you did. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 3 days later, Becca, the same friend who'd warned me, messaged me again. Becca, just thought you should know he's dating Vanessa now. I stared at the message. The gym X, the hall pass X, the what he might be missing X. Me. That was fast. Becca, don't think it'll last. He's already talking about seeing other people. Karma's hilarious. I typed back. Me. I don't wish him harm. Just distance. Becca. Fair. You doing okay? Me. Better than I would be if I'd married him. And that was the truth. Crystal clear. The wedding would have been last weekend. Instead, I went to a concert with friends, had drinks, laughed. Didn't think about Ethan until my brother nudged me and said, "This was supposed to be your wedding day." I took a sip of my beer. "Yeah," I said, "it was." "How do you feel?" he asked. I looked out at the music and the crowd and the clear night sky. "Grateful," I said. "Relieved. Sad for who I thought he was. But grateful I found out before legally binding myself to someone who doesn't respect me." He nodded. "Dad's proud of you, you know." "I'm proud of me," I said. And I was. Because in the end, I didn't just save money, or time, or heartbreak. I saved my self-respect. And that's priceless. So if anyone reading this is in a similar situation, listen carefully. You teach people how to treat you. If someone thinks they can disrespect you and you'll stay, they'll keep disrespecting you. Sometimes the bravest, healthiest thing you can do is close the door and change the lock. The thing no one tells you about rebuilding your life is how quiet it is at first. Not peaceful quiet, not reflective quiet, just empty. The kind of quiet that forces you to sit with the pieces of what used to be your world and decide which ones are worth salvaging and which ones were never yours to hold in the first place. In the weeks after the court case, that silence became my companion. Not comforting, not cruel, just present. But slowly the quiet changed shape. It softened, opened, made space. And into that space came something I didn't expect. Myself. The return of normalcy, but a new version of it. The first Saturday morning, I woke up without the weight of a wedding countdown pressing on my chest. I lay in bed and waited for the grief to hit. It didn't. Instead, birds were chirping outside my window. Sunlight was stretching across my hardwood floor. My sheets smelled like lavender from the new laundry detergent I bought simply because I liked it, not because I needed someone else to approve the scent. I made coffee the way I liked it. Too strong, a little bitter, always in my favorite chipped mug. Small freedoms, quiet victories. It felt like rediscovering a version of me I'd abandoned somewhere along the way. The apartment transformation. 2 weeks post-breakup, I started redecorating. Not because I needed to erase him, but because I needed to see myself reflected in the space again. I sold the couch he insisted we buy, a gray sectional that looked sleek but felt like sitting on cardboard. I replaced it with something soft, warm, deep forest green, the kind of couch you curl up on with a blanket and a book. Hung new artwork, took down the engagement photos, repainted the bedroom in a shade Ethan once said was too feminine. When the last picture frame was hung, I stood back and looked around. It didn't feel like I lived in a ghost town anymore. It felt like home, my home. The promotion. Work became a lifeline. I poured myself into a big project. Late nights, early mornings, spreadsheets, presentations. Not because I was running away from the breakup, but because productivity gave me structure when everything felt unsteady. 3 weeks later, my boss called me into his office. "Lauren," he said, sliding a folder across the desk, "I'm promoting you." I blinked. "Really?" "You stepped up," he said. "You've shown leadership, focus, and initiative. This is well earned." I smiled for the first time in days in a way that reached my eyes. He didn't know that the focus was me trying not to think about the wedding that wasn't. He didn't know that the initiative was partly fueled by heartbreak and misplaced adrenaline. All he saw was competence, and I appreciated that. The family that refused to let me fall. My dad took me to a baseball game, not because I suddenly loved baseball, but because he did. And because sitting in an open stadium with nachos and noise was his way of reminding me the world was bigger than one failed relationship. My mom cooked enough meals to feed a small army. She kept showing up with Tupperware like she was trying to refill the emotional parts of me that felt drained. My brother invited me on a sibling trip, just the two of us. A road trip with terrible music, gas station snacks, and laughing so hard I nearly cried for good reasons. They didn't pity me. They surrounded me. There's a difference. The friends who stayed and the ones who didn't. I lost some friends who were really his friends and had just absorbed me by proximity. When the breakup happened, they vanished like smoke. Honestly, good riddance. The ones who mattered stayed. Tessa, my maid of honor, showed up with wine, blankets, and a list titled 90 Reasons Ethan Was Never Good Enough. Reason number 1, he wore flip-flops to a steakhouse once. That alone got him halfway down the list. I laughed more in those hours than I had in the entire month before. Therapy, and the question that changed everything. Therapy wasn't about fixing something broken. It was about understanding my own patterns. One session, my therapist leaned forward and asked, "Do you regret how you handled it?" I thought about it. The night he asked for a hall pass, the key that didn't turn, the boxes, the court hearing, the promotion, the peace. "No," I said softly. "I don't regret any of it." "And do you miss him?" she asked. I considered it carefully. "I miss who I thought he was," I said, "not who he actually is." And that was the truth I hadn't been able to articulate until then. "I don't miss the man who asked me to compromise my own dignity," I added. "I miss the version of him I projected, the one that never existed." My therapist nodded like she'd been waiting for me to get there. The text I ignored. 2 months after the breakup, I got a message from an unfamiliar number. "Ethan, I'm sorry. Really sorry. I was scared of commitment and I sabotaged everything. I'm in therapy now. I know I hurt you. Just wanted you to know I understand why you left." I stared at the message a long time. Not with anger, not with longing. Just clarity. There was no point replying. He was sorry because he faced consequences, not because he made different choices. I deleted the text. Not out of spite, out of peace. The update that made me raise an eyebrow. 3 days later, Becca messaged me. Becca, thought you should know he's dating Vanessa now. My eyebrows lifted. Me, that was quick. Becca, don't think it'll last. He's already talking about seeing other people. Karma's fast these days. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I didn't seethe. I just felt nothing. And that was the win. Me. I don't wish him harm, just distance. Becca, makes sense. Are you okay? I typed back. Me. Better than I would have been if I'd married him. And I meant it. The almost wedding day. The weekend our wedding was supposed to happen, I went to a concert with friends. The music was loud. The drinks were cold. The sky was clear. At one point, my brother nudged me. This was supposed to be your wedding day, he said softly. I took a breath. Yeah. How do you feel? I thought about it for real. Grateful, I said. Relieved. Sad? Only for who I thought he was, I said. Not for who he actually is. He nodded and slung an arm around my shoulders. I'm proud of you, he said. Dad is too. I know, I said. And for once, I'm proud of me too. Final reflection. Here's the thing people don't understand. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't spite. It wasn't punishing him for honesty. It was self-preservation. He showed me he saw me as optional. He showed me that he wanted a future where I swallowed my self-worth to keep him comfortable. I wasn't going to spend the next 50 years teaching a grown man how to value me. He asked for a hall pass. I gave him a permanent exit pass. We both got what we wanted. It just turned out what he wanted wasn't what he thought he wanted. And that's not my responsibility. So here's my advice to anyone who finds themselves standing at a crossroads like I did. If someone asks you to shrink yourself so they can feel bigger, walk away. If someone thinks honest means I should get what I want and you should endure it, walk away. If someone believes your loyalty is worth less than their impulses, walk away. Change the locks if you have to. You'll be amazed how peaceful life becomes once the wrong people can't walk in anymore.